Good afternoon to you, viewers, and welcome to the National Assembly live broadcast, being the afternoon of Wednesday. The date is 30th of June 2021. We are glad you're watching. The House is sitting during this afternoon session, and a lot has been lined up in the order of business. And just to have a look at the highlights in the order of business this afternoon, is that the Committee of the Whole House will be considering the public security. The Social Assistance Repeal Bill, National Assembly Bill number 616 of 2020, is also lined up for debate. The House will equally be considering a bill by majority party. It is the bill on the landlord as well as matters tenant bill, National Assembly Bill number 3 of 2021, and the National Hospital Insurance Fund. It is an amendment bill by the Leader of Majority, National Assembly Bill number 21 of 2021, that members of the National Assembly will be consolidating a few aspects on that particular bill. Also, just to mention, pursuant to Standing Orders number 42A, subsection 5, members of the August House will be fielding questions for reply before specified departmental committees. The first member is member for Konoin, Honorable Brighton Yegon, who will be asking the Cabinet Secretary for Matters, Labour and Social Protection to state the immediate plans that have been put in place by the ministry. This is to address the impending retrenchment of over 50,000 tea pluckers in Bomet and Kericho counties in view of the introduction of mechanization of tea plucking by multinationals. The members will also be seeking to understand from the ministry what measures have been put in place to ensure proper implementation of the planned mechanization of matters collection of tea. His questions will be replied before the Departmental Committee on Labour and Matters Social Welfare. Honourable Member for Belgut, Honourable Nelson Koech, will be asking the Cabinet Secretary for Education that with regard to the recent Form 1 intakes, could the Cabinet Secretary explain the policy pertaining to students who are unable to travel to the secondary schools of the admission? This is due to long distance, and what role the school management plans to do on such admissions. And also further consider advising all the county as well as sub-county tools in schools to admit students who are within their locality but are unable to travel to the schools in distant areas. Questions by member for Belgut will be replied before the Departmental Committee.
Ewe Mwenyezi Mungu, ambaye kwa hekima na wema wako umeteua nyadhifa za viongozi na mabunge kwa ustawi wa jamii na utawala wa haki wa wanadamu, twakusihi ututazame kwa neema nyingi sisi watumishi wako ambao umeridhika kutuita ili tutekeleze shughuli muhimu za jamhuri yetu. Twakuomba ututeremshie baraka zako sisi tuliokutanika hapa, na utujalie tuyatende na kuyafikiria mambo yote yatakayofikishwa mbele yetu kwa njia ya haki na uaminifu, ili utukufu na sifa zako ziendelezwe, na ili kustawisha amani, ufanisi na heri ya nchi yetu na wale ambao haja zao umezikabidhi mikononi mwetu. Amen.
Order number 4, petitions.
Make your way, please. Honour members, starting on number 225, subsection 2, paragraph B, requires the Speaker to report to the House any petition those presented by a member. Further, pursuant to Article 119 of the Constitution, which provides the right of any person to petition Parliament to consider any matter within its authority, including petitioning the House to enact, amend, or repeal any legislation. In this regard, honourable members, I wish to report the House that my office has received a petition from a group calling itself Cultivation of Short-Grain Crops such as maize, beans, sorghum, millet, and green grams, which are unfortunately routinely invaded and destroyed by marauding elephants and other wild animals from Savo East and Savo West national parks. Their livestock are also attacked and eaten by hyenas, leopards, releasing wild animals under their care into residents' farms to ensure that the wild animals access food near Mutitwandei, as opposed to venturing deep into the parks in a bid to attract tourists to Mutitwandei market centers. The petitioners claim that the said KWS partners routinely transport wild animals from other parks and dump them into Mutitwandei farms to feast on residents' harvest, and also regularly beat up area residents without cause, despite the presence of local administrators. In addition, the petitioners state that no single Mutitwandei resident has ever received any compensation for farm losses, injuries, and loss of lives, primarily because their names are deliberately omitted from the KWS compensation data. The petitioners seek the intervention of this House in urgently addressing this ongoing crisis by securing the erection. These members want to make comments limited to 2 minutes each, not debate. Member for Mavoko.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Indeed, I agree with the petitioners. Mr. Speaker, the issue of human-wildlife conflict is real, particularly, Mr. Speaker. Indeed, it is very painful. It has cost farmers their livelihood. Mr. Speaker, even as near as here in Mavoko, Mr. Speaker, farmers do not harvest because of those grazers. Mr. Speaker, it is high time the Kenya Wildlife Services did something to compensate these farmers, because the little, and you know, Mr. Speaker, with the climatic change, very little can be salvaged from the farms. And the little that is there, if it is damaged or destroyed by these animals, Mr. Speaker, there is nobody to compensate. It is real a national concern. Particularly, you've heard all that line. That's a Kamba community, Mr. Speaker, who rely on agriculture as their main livelihood. So, Mr. Speaker, I urge the committee to make a speed.
Honorable Bukose woke up. You know, I thought he had only, by the time
stood up in this house, Mr. Speaker. Stood up in this house, seeking to know how much money has been set aside.
Thank you. Honorable Sankok, you're also waking up.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I'm not waking up. I've been here. Honorable Speaker, human-wildlife conflict is there and it's real. And Honorable Speaker, I support the petitioners. In Kajiado, for instance, there is Amboseli. And those with them ever since we came to this planet called Earth. Honorable Speaker, we have survived with them. We know how to manage them. Honorable Speaker, but we must benefit from those animals so that we are tempted to take care of the same animals more than what the law says, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, this can only be realized if compensation is done timely. Honorable Speaker, if you kill a wild animal, you will be jailed. And if you are not jailed, you will be charged maybe a bond of 5 million, Honorable Speaker, if you are found with elephant tusk. Honorable Speaker, yet when a person is killed, he is compensated with 50,000 Kenya shillings. Do we now value wild animals more than human beings? We must be serious as a country. We must value our people. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I support the petition. And also I requested the Honorable Mbadi to produce Honorable Junior dead or alive. He's here alive. So thank you very much. You have been
to visit a place called Ngororo Conservancy. And when we try to ask the issue of conflict, the conflict between wildlife and human, Mr. Speaker, you realize there's always civic education that is normally offered. And when it comes to issues of compensation, they are done timely. Maybe it's the highest time the relevant authorities should also go to Tanzania to learn and to be able to benchmark, because the level of the conflict, Mr. Speaker, has already been mitigated. You find, Mr. Speaker, that these farmers, they rely on those crops for their livelihoods. And when wildlife comes and destroys, when it comes to compensation, it's not done on time, Mr. Speaker. It's really a big issue, and we request the committee in charge maybe to move with speed.
Bwana Spika, jambo hili ambapo wanyama ya bori wanafamia na kukula chakula ya wananchi ni jambo ambalo tumeizungumzia katika nyumba hili. Hasa mimi nimeongea kuhusu eneo langu la bunge la Endebesi ambapo tuko na Mount Elgon National Park, na jambo ambalo limenikusa Bwana Spika katika hii petition ni kwamba wamesema askari wanapika wananchi. Hiyo ni kweli. Na kwa hivyo nataka kamati inayoongozwa na mjumbe wa Mara itakapoangalia hii maneno, tunataka kujua askari wa National Park ni kwa nini wanashambulia wananchi, kwa nini wanapika wananchi. Hiyo ni jambo ambalo ni nzito sana, kwa sababu askari hawa hata kule Endebess wamehusika kupika wananchi kule kwa National Park, na especially hata wamama wale wanaenda kurokota kuni wanapikwa na hawa askari. Kwa hivyo ni jambo ambalo linatakana kushughulikiwa, na tunataka kujua ni hatua gani ambayo wizara inaweza kuchukua kwa wale askari ambao wanapika wananchi, kwa sababu sijui kama hiyo ni kazi ya kati ya kuchunga wanyama ama ni namna gani. Kwa hivyo Bwana Spika, nafikiri hii ni jambo ambalo tunataka ishughulikiwe vilivyo katika hiyo kamati, na kamati itakapokaa tungependa wale sisi tunaishi karibu na national parks watuite. Asante Bwana Spika.
Member for Imenti North.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to support this petition. Mr. Speaker, 3 months back, I had brought a question which was answered by the Committee on Environment. Mr. Speaker, many a time the compensation is being approved and some of it is being thrown out for reasons which people don't understand. And Mr. Speaker, we have had, for Meru County, we've got people have been killed by wildlife, and the claims have never been paid by KWS because of probably funding or something or the other. Over the past 8 or 9 years, Mr. Speaker, the only money which has been compensated is 1.7 billion, whereas the claims are for more than 5 billion. So I think we need, as a parliament and as the budget committee as well, needs to look into it so that people get paid on time, because many claims are there. And the other thing is KWS needs to get serious, because when people lodge their claims, they are not being told why the claims have been rejected. We have to follow up to know if the claim, there is 1 or 2 small errors in it, and that is why the claims are rejected. So I wish to support Mr. Speaker and ask the committee to look to go into it further. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Member for Emuhaya.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. This is a question and a petition that has been on the floor of the House too many times, coming from both but I notice it will become a talking shop for ourselves just to speak on it and no action is being taken. So if there are such a powers, it would be very good we help these people whom are being affected by the conflict between wildlife and themselves. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Member for Igembe Central.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity. Mr. Speaker, let me end my voice by saying that I supported the petition, and more so, Mr. Speaker, are ever there. Last time I went to Langata to ask for the same for my people, Mr. Speaker. They said that they don't get budget for it. But I told them whatever money they get from the checker they should have a small budget for the same. The other day I saw the minister where he was somewhere in Baringo. He was there and he was giving some money for compensation. So it doesn't take the minister to go and take compensation money. It should be there in book, and each and every person is compensated. Mr. Speaker, also there's an issue of snakes. They say that they don't compensate the snakes because there are some people who keep snakes as pets. So they don't know if it is a wild snake or a pet snake which bit you. We have so many claims from Meru National Park where snakes have bitten people, but they say they don't compensate on snakes. I'm wondering if snakes are not wild animals, and I will see them keeping them. So it should be looked into seriously, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
Member for Marakwet West.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I also want to make comments. Nowhere. So, thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Member for Kangudo.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving the opportunity to add my voice on this petition. Honorable Speaker, we have had many petitions and questions on matters of conflict between wildlife and human beings. And if you see our country, we have really gained a lot in tourism in terms of making money through the animals. These animals, the wildlife, they are managed by human beings. And we human beings, we are the one gaining and we are not able to manage them. So this is an era of individual, Honorable Speaker. And it's the high time we need to take, people need to take their responsibilities. Because there is nowhere the Lion Nairobi National Park will take care of themselves. The people who are getting money from this wildlife are the people who are managing the KWS. The same way the economy is gaining money through the tourism, so we need to add more voice in terms of taking our wildlife and trying to solve the conflict between human beings and the animals. Also, many areas where we have the game park, you get also the people who are assigned to take care of the animals. They are not taking care of the animal. They are going to extend or do the job which are not assigned. Some areas you get the roadblock being put by Kenya Wildlife soldiers in terms of taking care of the animals. So, Honorable Speaker, the high time this committee need to go to all the national park visit and check the responsibility of people who are concerned and how the wildlife be taken care. Thank you very much, and I support.
Member for Nakuru East, Town East.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I rise to support the petition. But ministry, if there are no budgets for that. So, Honorable Speaker, I think as much as we speak here as members of Parliament, there is a need for us now that, again, it's unfortunate because the budget making process is gone. And without budgets, then the ministry will not be able to do that. So, Honorable Speaker, I want to believe that it is important for the House as we rise for us to discuss and agree on matters of budgets. Otherwise, without budgets, then there is nothing that can be done. And of course, Honorable Speaker, I remember when we were passing the Wildlife, is it called Wildlife and Conservation Act, now is as it is. Honorable Speaker, I remember that time I did try to push for removal of they removed the monkeys again. The monkeys are no longer, and in my place, Honorable Speaker, in a ward called Lakeview, monkeys have become a nuisance and biting people, and people have to go. So again, these are some of the things that we need to, but without budgets, Honorable Speaker, it will be very difficult for us to be able to address. Thank you.
Member for Kandui.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I also wish to support the petition, Mr. Speaker, and as you are aware, we all are aware, the question of human-animal conflict has been with us for some time. It is important that a structured manner, a good way of ensuring that we deal with this problem once and for all. It is something that we have seen the people around the park, and even in Bungoma, Mr. Speaker, you know, the animals descending from the forest, from Mount Elgon, ways of wildlife, Mr. Speaker. But most important, I join colleagues in ensure, the people who are expected to preserve and protect animals should not harass wananchi, Mr. Speaker. They should not go beating up wananchi wherever they are. They should be able to help wananchi, protect the animals and help wananchi.
Kuna pande zote za Kenya. Lamu sisi ndo kuna shida zaidi. Tuna hiyo paka ambayo iko hapo lakini haitusaidii bali kutuumiza. Afadhali sehemu zingine kama Masai Mara angalau wanasaidika kwa upande mwingine. Sisi kwetu katika pesa ambayo imetolewa ya
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I actually don't want to respond. I am one of the complainants. I want to join what they should do. Now, hyenas are not the kind of wildlife that attracts tourists. So there's something that either they're overwhelmed, and I think it's as a house, we need also to let
members say, Sergeant at Arms, can you locate that gadget and they confiscate it.
No, it's just Sergeant. Yeah, thanks.
No, throw it away.
Sorry about that. I think it just shows how a small irresponsibility can disrupt the whole house. But the point I was making with that specific area, I think we need to look at the generic issue of why are there complaints across the entire country and what needs to be done so that we avoid this issue of farmers losing their livestock, farmers losing their crops to animals, yet there should be some coexistence organized through an institutional framework with KWS, protecting the wildlife and the interference with the people. Because it's painful, and I can see when the photographs have been sent of the animals that have been mauled by these hyenas, it talks to pain, and you can see the people are being deprived of their livestock, by these hyenas, and there's nothing much you can do. And
the committee, I know that there are several others who are willing to comment, especially the members from.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I beg to lay the following papers on the table of the House. Today, Wednesday, June the 30th, 2021, afternoon sitting. Number one is a price stability target and the economic policy of the government for the financial year 2021-22 budget. And two, the report of the Auditor General and financial statements in respect of the TVET Curriculum Development Assessment and Certification Council for the year ended 30th of June 2020 and the certificate therein. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
The Chairman, Departmental Committee on Transport, Public Works and Housing.
I thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg to lay the following paper on the floor of on the table of the House today, Wednesday, June 30th, 2021, afternoon sitting. Report of the Departmental Committee.
Section 4 of the National Government Constitutional Development Fund Act 2015 and paragraph 5, subparagraph 2 and 10 of the National Government Constitutional Development Fund Regulations 2016, this House approves the list of nominees for appointment to the following two constituency committees of the National Government Constitutional Development Fund, laid on the table of the House on Tuesday, June 15, 2021. 1, Kipipiri constituency, and 2, Matungu constituency. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Ask his question first. The request has been granted. Honorable Wanyonyi.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker. My question is 219 of 2020-21 to the Cabinet Secretary for Works, Sanitation and Irrigation. Could the Cabinet Secretary provide the status of the desiltation of Kapsitweti, Aseka, Marinda dams in Kwanza constituency? 2, what other projects has the ministry planned regarding construction of the dams and water plants in Kwanza constituency so as to provide water for irrigation?
Question number 1. Could the Cabinet Secretary state the immediate plans put in place by the ministry to address the impending retrenchment of over 50,000 tea pluckers in Bomet and Kericho counties in view of introduction of mechanization of tea plucking by multinational, such as the production of high-quality tea in the region, considering that the hand-plucked tea is of superior quality and fetches higher prices as compared to mechanically plucked product, which is said to be of low quality. Question number 4, what mitigation steps, if any, has the ministry caused the multinational farms to put in place so as to protect the health of the tea workers, given the health risks posed by the excessive and continuous exposure to hazardous fumes emitted by the tea plucking machines, and also continued use of the machines? Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
The question will be replied to before the Departmental Committee on Labor and Social Welfare. The question by the member for Belgut, Honorable Koech.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, and my sincere apologies. This question is considering advising all county and sub-county schools to admit students who are within their locality but are unable to travel to schools in distant areas. And number 3, what measures has the ministry put in place to address the huge number of students admitted to secondary schools which lack necessary infrastructure to accommodate the expansion, particularly students admitted to Belgut, Starehe boys and Belgut Starehe girls, considering these are special schools initially meant for orphans and needy students from within Belgut constituency? And finally, what immediate steps has the ministry taken to ensure that a huge number of students admitted to Belgut Starehe boys and Belgut Starehe girls are provided with the necessary facilities in form of dormitories, classes, and teaching staff? Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Right. Question will be answered before the Departmental Committee on Education and Research. Next by the member for Changamwe, Honorable Omar Mwinyi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. To revive the Akamba handicraft industry and soapstone carving business, which is on the verge of collapse due to the myriad challenges facing the cottage industry. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The question will be replied before the Departmental Committee on Sports, Culture, and Tourism. Next question by the member for Mwingi West, Honorable Charles Ngosia.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity. I want to ask question 217 of 2021 to Cabinet Secretary for Labor and Protection. Question number 1, could the Cabinet Secretary explain why the Elderly Persons Cash Transfer Program database record has not been updated since 2017 in the Mwingi West constituency? Number 2, what steps is the ministry taking to rectify errors, update databases, and synchronize all the data following the migration from the manual exercise to the new bank card-based payment, including reinstatement of more than 176 beneficiaries who were left out during the 2018 migration? Question number 3, could the Cabinet Secretary state the amount of funds allocated to the said program with respect to Mwingi West constituency during the financial years 2016, 2017, 2017, 2018, 2018, 2019, 2019, 2020, and 2020, 2021, and explain how the funds were utilized? Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
The question will be replied to before the Departmental Committee on Labor and Social Welfare. Last question by the member for Rabai, Honorable Kamoti Momkale.
Dire need of water supply in Rabai constituency and the surrounding areas. 2, could the Cabinet Secretary also explain whether there are other plans, there are any plans to expand the capacity of the old Mzima water supply project counties? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Question will be replied to before the Departmental Committee on Environment and Natural Resources. Now, members, we move to the next segment of that order.
A comprehensive vaccination plan against COVID-19 pandemic. Honorable Speaker, COVID-19 pandemic continues to cause significant negative impact to the Kenyan economy that has led to massive job losses, unemployment, poverty, collapse of businesses, and loss of lives, particularly in Western Kenya, where we have an average of 5 funerals in a village for COVID-19 vaccine. Through the COVAX program that mainly targeted health workers, older people, and individuals with underlying health conditions, representing approximately 3% of the population. However, Mr. Speaker, the number of vaccines received are far below the targeted population. Globally, vaccination is now the most strategic measure to contain and manage the spread of the virus. Honorable Speaker, the first vaccination phase was not done systematically to cover the categories that are vulnerable, thus exposing them to further danger. Honorable Speaker, it is against this background that I seek a statement from the chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Health on the following kits in light of the new COVID-19 variants. 3, could the chairperson provide the death rates since the outbreak of COVID-19 and whether the government is aware of increasing cases of death and burials? What diplomatic strategies has the government deployed to source for more vaccines from its allies or partners? I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Is the Chair, Committee of Health present? The Vice Chair? Your request will be channeled through the Office of the Leader Majority. Next, request by the member for Kuresoi South, Joseph Kipkoski.
Honorable Speaker, pursuant to Standing Order 44.2c, I rise to request for a statement from the chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Lands regarding caveat imposed on title deeds of former settlements within the Mau Complex, Kuresoi South constituency. Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Kenyajui, what have you done? Don't Kenyajui carry. You walked from there, cross this way, now you are this way, you are cross this way. This is the floor of the House.
Honorable.
Proceed, Honorable Kipkoski.
Honorable Speaker, in 2003, the government imposed a caveat on the title deeds of former settlements within the Mau Complex, affecting residents with valid land documents. The affected areas covers above 67,500 acres of land in Olonguruwoni, Kiptakich, Tinet, and some parts of Keringet ward areas, rendering the said title deeds worthless for any financial or any other transaction, as well as public and private infrastructural developments. This has adversely affected the socio-economic and physical developments in the region, particularly those who depend on loans from financial institutions to grow and develop agribusiness. Honorable Speaker, it is on this background that I seek a statement from the Chairperson Committee on Departmental Committee on Lands on the following. Number 1, could the Chairperson explain circumstances that led to imposing of a caveat title deeds for over 65,000 acres of land in Olonguruwoni, Kiptakich, Tinet, and develop agribusiness? I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
The Chairperson, Committee on Lands, certainly she is not in the House. Who's the Vice Chair? The Vice Chair Lands. The next request is by the member for Isiolo, the Honorable Rehema Jaldes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to read a statement.
To read?
To request, sorry. Oh. Request for a statement on resurgence of banditry attack and killing in Isiolo County. Honorable Speaker, pursuant to Standing Order 44.2c, I seek to request for a statement from the Chairperson, Departmental Committee on Administration and National Security regarding resurgence of banditry attacks and killing in Isiolo County. Honorable Speaker, the insecurity situation in Isiolo County has escalated and reached alarming levels. The residents of Isiolo County can no longer participate in meaningful economic activities due to fear of banditry attacks. The attacks have resulted in loss of lives, loss of livestock, and destruction of property. Over the last 1 month alone, several incidences have been reported to authorities, but no action has been taken by the government. The incidences are as follows. On the 1st of June 2021, a raid took place at an area called Gafarsa were killed, and 800 goats belonging to Nuno Kulo and Gale Bule were stolen. On 12th June 2021, Sar Sharu Bolu, Mole Hussein, Sharara Abdi, and Abdirizak Abdi were killed, and a generator burned to ashes. On 23rd June, the same day, another raid took place at an area called Kom, where 60 goats belonging to one Guyo Bagaja were stolen. And on 25th June 2021, another raid took place at a place called Bojidera, where one person, namely Alio Muhammad, was killed, and 3 people, namely, intervention from the government is required to end this vicious attack. It is against this background that I seek a statement from the chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Administration and National Security on the following. What measure is the government taking to address resurgence of raids and banditry in Isiolo County? Number 2, what efforts are in place to arrest the perpetrators of the recent attack and recovery of the stolen animals? Mr. Speaker, we know these attacks are well planned, coordinated, and even at some point financed by the government. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, our heart is bleeding.
What's the point of order, Honorable Kaluma?
Speaker, the majority whip was consulting you, and I know this might have not come to your attention. But, Mr. Speaker, the Honorable Member has mentioned that the attacks, the subject matter of the petition, out of the statement, request for statement, are being organized and funded by the government. And she is asking this question of the government: could such details be given if they exist? That the government is funding and perpetrating the attacks, the subject matter of the petition.
So the response will be that the government is not. Well, the point, I think the point the Honorable Kaluma is making is, if you expect the statement then to come from government,
yeah,
and you have said the government is the one organizing, then the government will just give you an answer that the government is not organizing, yeah. And then maybe I thought Honorable Jaldesa, you had raised quite a number of serious incidences, and I thought they would require, very, very detailed responses. But sometimes, we also are the authors of our own misfortunes occasionally, maybe inadvertently. Had you finished your request, or you stopped at where the government? You already knew the answer that the government is the one that is funding. In which case, then there is no need of making the request.
Mr. Speaker,
yes,
I did not blame the entire government, but I said there is one well-known person who is behind organization, mobilization, and funding of the killing of my people. That is what I want the government to investigate. When they do that, they will know. Otherwise, Mr. Speaker, there is no way in a span of about 5 days, the county of Isiolo, I'm very emotional.
I appreciate
because this killing, Mr. Speaker, happens even to women, to people I know, Mr. Speaker, who are innocent.
Honorable Jaldesa, you have a point, you have a reason to be emotional.
Yes.
But you know, some of these long phrases, leading questions, misleading, and, you know, supplementary, they sometimes can become, they can put us into some trouble. But I think it is not, Honorable Jaldesa, you have sought a request for a statement. They have not an answer, unless your request is such that you would want the Cabinet Secretary responsible for administration and national security to appear before the committee and not give the chairman a written response. Honorable Jaldesa, perhaps you could.
Mr. Speaker, sir, in the event, probably.
Okay, let me help you. We will, because I mean, it touches on loss of human life, and I think it's that in itself is serious. Of the day and time, so that then you can shoot those supplementary questions. There may be no need for you to make substantiation, because then you will have taken it upon yourself to respond. But in the supplementaries, of course, you can make all other allegations or statements desiring a response from the Cabinet Secretary. So I think that's to assist that situation, because it's a grave one. 15 lives lost, I think, is not a light matter. So let that request for statement be converted, possible, to respond. Honorable Mwadi.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I quite sympathize with the Honorable Member for the loss of life and the theft of livestock. But at the same time, I want a direction from you, Honorable Speaker, whether the statement that has been sought now stands as a question, or she needs to rephrase that in terms of the various questions that she needs addressed. So,
understanding order number 42, as opposed to request for statement under 44(2)(c). And I think, no, there's nothing out of order. We are still in the process. You see, point of order is not, it's not an occasion for people to start raising issues about everything under the sun. There must be something which is not in order. Now, whatever I've done, it is within my power, understanding order number 1, because it's not relax. We are not engaged in an argument. The next request is by the Honorable Peter Kaluma.
I thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this is a request for statement pursuant to Standing Order 44(2)(c) on the status of appointment of 6 judges recommended for appointment by the Judicial Service Commission. Honorable Speaker, pursuant to Standing Order 44(2)(c), I wish to request for a statement from the Leader of Majority regarding the status of appointment of the following persons to the judiciary: Justice Weldon Korir, Justice Aggrey Muchelule, Justice Joel Ngugi, Justice George Odunga, Mrs. Judith Omange, and Mr. I wish to request for a statement from the Leader of Majority regarding the status of appointment of the Justices Weldon Korir, Justice Aggrey Muchelule, Justice Joel Ngugi, Justice George Odunga, Mrs. Judith Omange, and Mr. Evans Makori, who are recommended to be appointed to the Court of Appeal under the Superior Courts. Honorable Speaker, Article 172 of the Constitution provides for the functions of the Judicial Service Commission, the principle of which is to recommend to the President persons to be appointed as judges. Article 166, Sub-Article 1B, obligates the President to appoint judges of the Superior Courts in accordance with the recommendations of the Judicial Service Commission. Honorable Speaker, on 3rd June 2021, His Excellency the President of the Republic of Kenya appointed 34 judges out of the 40 judges recommended to him for appointment by the Judicial Service Commission. Honorable Speaker, it is noted that 6 persons who were not appointed by the President, including Justice Weldon Korir, Justice Agre Muchelule, Justice Joel Ngugi, Justice George Odunga, Mrs. Judith Omange, and Mr. Evans Makori, for no stated reasons. While risking judicial independence and the rule of law, this omission is hurting the career of the affected persons while undermining the administration of justice by the courts in which some of them serve. Honorable Speaker, it is against this background that I seek a statement from the Leader of Majority on the following. 1, reasons for the failure by His Excellency the President to appoint the
Leader of Majority, the request is directed at you. I don't know how soon you want to.
Bring the statement within the next 2 weeks.
I imagine, I suspect that the Honorable Kaluma is happy. It's a small challenge here. Yeah, the IT people, can you give the mic to Honorable Kaluma?
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, this is a very serious matter. I would have wished for a shorter time than 2 weeks. Speaker, some of us still go to the courts. And the administration of justice, particularly in those courts being presided over by persons who are sitting as judges within this group, is so badly affected. Honorable Speaker, just a short while ago, I was before one of these judges, and a person not wanting to proceed just shot up and said, I want you to recuse yourself. No ground, the President did not appoint you. It gets that embarrassing. It is unjustly delaying the due administration of justice. Because of the consultations involved and the level where they will be undertaken, I will accept 2 weeks. But, Honorable Speaker, it should be noted that this request is going to what the government is doing, not just the executive. So that I expect a response, even bringing together what, even as an institution, as Parliament, we can do to mediate over that matter. It is something affecting the rule of law and the administration of justice very adversely. I will go by the 2 weeks, but I'm happy the majority leader takes seriously the seriousness and the weight of the matter.
But of course, there could be rest. These people in DLP, how can they write this? This is bad. This is bad. So, no, sorry, the thing is, the request is the status of the 100 million, I don't know, million cows or million goats, again, stimulus package allocated to artists to cushion them against the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, the Honorable Patrick Makao Kingola, the chair of the committee, I have looked at this response. It is 30 pages. I think just give us a highlight. I hope you have given the Honorable Kiarie.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Speaker.
I hope you have given him a copy so that you can just give us a highlight. Because if he waited for you to read through the entire 30 pages, we will be here for till cows come home.
Mr. Speaker, I have done so.
So just give us highlights.
Thank you. Mr. Speaker, on the 9th June 2021, pursuant to Standing Order 442C, the member for artists, actors, and musicians who benefited from the Kenya shillings 100 million stimulus package. Number 2, the criteria used to shortlist the participating artists. Number 3, detailed breakdown on how the stimulus package, whose trade were adversely affected in the pandemic. Mr. Speaker, I wish to respond as follows, that regards to question 1 and 3, I hereby table the list of the artists, actors, and the musicians who benefited from the Kenya shillings 100 million stimulus and the detailed breakdown is requested in item 3, that is in annexure 3, and indeed, Mr. Speaker, I need to indicate that the member has been furnished with copies of the same. Mr. Speaker, I wish to notify the House that $1,500,000. The National Museums of Kenya was given $21,400,000. Kenya Cultural Center, Mr. Speaker, was given $18,120,000. And then at the headquarters, a balance of 50,000 remained given out by the ministry to make sure that every Kenyan got the information. Mr. Speaker, the minister said that the eligibility criteria developed by the departmental committee required that the applicants, A, must be Kenyans with ID or a passport. Number 2, each artist must have submitted their profile with proof of artistic endeavor in the last 6 months. Mr. Speaker, also, they must have been a beneficiary of any other funding released by the government to fight the COVID-19 pandemic. Such funding, Mr. Speaker, was not limited to royalties paid by the Collective Management Organization, that is CMC's, cash transfers to the elderly, youth, or women. Mr. Speaker, also, the messaging was to revolve around the government and World Health Organization's measures to contain the spread of the COVID. Mr. Speaker, the classes which were considered were whether the stimulus package achieved its mandate or intended purpose of supporting the artists. Yes, Mr. Speaker, it is indeed, as per the attached list that was given by the ministry, that I'm going to table in this House, and I'm sure the honorable member, once he goes through, his question will be answered, Mr. Speaker. And I want to say, yes, indeed, as a committee, we checked how that fund was disbursed, and many members, although most Kenyans, as usual, table room. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Kelly.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, and I'd like to first thank the committee under the leadership of Mheshimiwa and the members for quick response, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the reason why I was seeking this statement is because the intent of the 100 million stimulus package was to shield the intended purpose has been achieved, is to not be very generous with the truth. Mr. Speaker, I received a very voluminous response, and I'm still combing through the documents, up to and including a number of artists who are said to have been paid. But more importantly, Mr. Speaker, during this exercise of the disbursement of the coupling in the dark on these matters that have to do with performers, Mr. Speaker, I'd like to authoritatively say that the intent that was envisioned by the head of state in giving this cushion to artists was not achieved. 100 million Kenya shillings is a drop in the ocean for the hundreds of thousands of artists who are suffering right now in the prevailing COVID situation. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. The follow-up issues, we will take them up through the necessary channels.
As Honorable Speaker, yet these are people who are earning their livelihood in clubs and other places where they were performing. So I think this question by the Honorable Member, when I listened to what the response, did this money really reach to such performing artists? Because when we reduce people who are earning their livelihood, where they were getting whatever money they were getting, they were paying for their rent, they were taking their children to school, they were able to feed themselves. Now we've reduced them to come and perform.
I gave you a mic.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I think it's important, and I'm not sure if that report pointed out, I heard Honorable Kiaria talk about databases. What is clear is that we do have databases under and known as collective management societies, CMOs. And these CMOs are either for producers, they are for performers, they are for and other various artists. And it would be interesting to know that were these categories.
There's another member who is raising up his hand, but the ones who know how to use the gadgets. Honorable Wanga. Those who are raising hands up, please. Learn, I told you, it takes a very short time to learn how to use. Now you got fingers up and hands up. I'm not good. That's not the way I recognize
that response. Honorable Speaker, we need to do more in support of our artists. And like the other day, Honorable Speaker, when we were speaking here on the issue of performing artists, especially musicians, and they create content, and then it is used, for example, as ringback tones, the skiza tunes that we have on our phones. But if you look at the sharing formula, it is such that the artists get peanuts, while the communication companies get almost 3 or 4 times more than what the artists who are the content creators are getting. So as we move forward, Honorable Speaker, this House, I think we need to take this matter of the artists seriously and do as much as possible to support them. We'll be moving forward, Honorable Speaker, to bring amendments, including to the Copyrights Act, so that artists get their fair share when they put in their effort. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
I see the member for Funyula also wanted to weigh in.
Yeah, thank you, Honorable Speaker.
The member for Katanga doesn't know how to use the gadget, so.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Oh, he just walked on his 2 feet without a card.
I must commend my colleague, Honorable KJ, for bringing this issue. Honorable Speaker, 100 million stimulus package that was provided is truly a drop in the ocean. I suppose and do trust that in the fullness of time, the Budget Appropriation Committee and the relevant committee might have to consult further with the relevant ministry to see what we can do to support this performance.
Thank you very much, Mr. Honorable Speaker, for giving me also a chance to make my contribution. Honorable Speaker, you are a great beneficiary of our cash crop, which is music. Honorable Speaker, Gatanga is known for producing a great number of musicians from Central Province. Honorable Speaker, we have over 3,000 registered musicians. And we have produced great stars like the late John DeMathew, Peter Kegia, Timona Mboro, Kariuki wake Arutara, DK Daniel Kamau, Wamumbe, Gashadi wa Dhuo, Jerry wa Gatanga, Koike, among our stars. But Honorable Speaker, when these payments were done, I want to confess our people never benefited. And Honorable Speaker, I've looked at the list, which was given by the chairman of the committee. I've seen all the musicians were paid like 10,000. And Honorable Speaker, they should have categorized. Because Honorable Speaker, what happened when the president said that there will be 100 million to be paid unfair? Because looking at the list, I can see it has been spread to flank places where we don't have musicians. Honorable Speaker, I want to say our musicians have continued to suffer a lot. With the closure of the bus, Honorable Speaker, you know Mogidi is gone. And you know with Mogidi comes other things, Honorable Speaker. Our people are really suffering. Honorable Speaker, as we do our protocols, COVID protocols, Honorable Speaker, a way should be found of how we can assist the artists. Honorable Speaker, maybe I would like to request the Ministry of Health maybe to consider during lunch entertain you. And Honorable Speaker, next time you go to a forest somewhere, make sure you invite us so that we can entertain you. With those few remarks, I want to say thank you very much.
Member for Kilividorf.
Thank you. We will also invite you, Mr. Speaker, too. But I would like to say this, the closure of entertainment places and the way our artists are treated has actually put them in a situation where they become beggars. Where I come from, I have a town called Watamu. Watamu has always been sustained as an entertainment town. But today, that town is completely dead. The tourists are not there, the bars are not there, not giving them even a shilling, and yet they are saying they had brought the 100 million. It created a lot of excitement in the town that now that money is here. The artists were there that planned to now go and perform or do whatever these guys wanted to get the money, but they were never given. When I called these guys, they had already left for Nairobi. That's the story of the 100 million. Nobody saw it. I didn't see it in my constituency. I didn't see it in Kilifi County. So, Mr. Speaker, as we try to look at these COVID protocols, I think Minister of Health, and I actually thought the President would yesterday open some of these counties that have not been affected by this thing drastically. Town of Malindi and Watamu are dead completely, and people have no job, they have nothing to eat just because.
Permanent Presidential Music Commission, Kenya Film Commission, National Museums, Kenya Cultural Center. Yeah, National Museums also got, they got 21,600,000. So, but you see, all these are organizations that receive normal budgetary allocations. And therefore, if it is through them that the artists who are supposed to benefit are registered, then normally one would expect that then they should get greater allocation from you members when you're doing budget. Honorable Sankok.
What does it mean? He did not go to the real artist. And I thank KJ because having been a member of the ridiculous team, he understands what these people go through. Honorable Speaker, they are artists with disabilities who perform. So there is a guy with disability with one leg who plays football. Honorable Speaker, he does not even have arms. But because we no longer have entertainment zones, we no longer go to weddings, we no longer go to all those social places. Yes? Honorable Speaker, no. You know, Honorable Speaker, protect me from Dr. Pukose. Dr. Pukose, Honorable Speaker, is becoming a prefect in this house. And I don't need a prefect in this house. Because now you are a popular figure in Kenya, so you will draw your image using that one single leg, Honorable Speaker. That is an artist. And they are now forced artists to play, to perform in our streets. How can a divide by 290 constituencies? You realize that is really peanuts. So we request our president, at least 500 million, it will not be enough, but it will be something that we can pride ourselves in. Channeled through elected members of parliament, they know the artists, they can give to the artists, by those government officers. And we need to really adhere to the World Bank instruction that administrative cost of any fund should be below 15%. Because this one, they use almost all the money in administration. So thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I really support, and I think it is high time we support our artists.
No, honourable members, now, you know, this is not business. Let's not take too much time. Honourable Atandi, 1 minute.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. And artists are known. You cannot say that because now you want to mitigate on these COVID issues. Honourable, the MP for Mavoko, can you please try to, urge the government to renew a new package for artists so that we can be able to make their lives better as a government. Thank you.
I can see the member for Chepalungu has also now known how to request.
Thank you, Speaker. This issue about artists, this House should be the first priority to protect artists in Kenya, because most of these artists, they are the ones who are entertain our electorates, and they made us to be here. Almost 80% of the members of parliament, in one way or another, we pass through the hands of artists. Chepalungu is known in Kenya to be the best in terms of Kalenjin and sweet songs. They sing across Rift Valley. The likes of Kipchamba, I know, Honorable Speaker, you once came to our constituency when you were member of parliament, and you were entertained by the late Kipchamba and all the other artists. The biggest trouble on artists is on these organization bodies. The MCSK, the Kenya Association of Music Producers, there is another one called BRISC, and there's another one called, I don't know. These, all of them, they are the biggest trouble who have taken the largest share of money that could have benefited the artist. Honorable Speaker, on the Skiza tune, you look at like Safaricom, they are remitting the correct figures, but they are remitting this money to the bodies that have signed with the artist. So they take larger share in the name of the one person is being mentioned to be among those who have been contacted corona. So the market has been shifted to the next neighboring county, that is Narok County. 300 meters away from Chepunyo market, there's a new market. So we cannot have these guys entertaining people in Chepunyo. They have now gone to Narok County, which is not our mother country. So thank you, Speaker. We really need to fight for this artist. Thank you.
Honorable Lesunda.
Yes.
Now, I think honorable members, since all of you have now.
I don't know how long it will go. As much as we're the budget-making house, Mr. Speaker, the same spirit that His Excellency the President gave this stimulus package, it is in my opinion that the ministry and also the committee to engage further so that we can get more money, so that 10,000 shillings is not enough for someone who's paying school fees, who's paying rent, who's paying food, Mr. Speaker. Looking through the list, Mr. Speaker, there's only one Samburu. And there is a list the Samburus gave me and they gave the ministry. There is also a stereotype in this country, Mr. Speaker, that musicians, but I think generally we should look at all the people who've been affected by corona in different segments to see how the country can cushion against COVID. Thank you.
Let me hear something from Mandera South. Honorable Haji.
Honorable Speaker, I wish to ask whether indeed COVID has not affected this part of the country the same way it has affected probably the rest of Kenya. Or does it mean that we do not have artists in this part of Kenya like we have it in Mount Kenya? Honorable Speaker, we need equity, we need recognition of the artists all over the country, and therefore the ministry should endeavor to look through the list again and try to cover this part of the country just like it has covered the rest of the country, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, our region very often does not benefit from a stimulus package such as this one or many others that has been given under the COVID-19 pandemic, Honorable Speaker. And so we want to ask the executive and the ministry to really endeavor to distribute these resources equitably so that also people from Mandera South also benefit from this stimulus package. Many thanks indeed, Honorable Speaker.
But of course, these ones are already distributed, finished. This was a one-off. So that's why the power is still with you, because you are the ones now, because this was given. You see, there were some people who went to a place called Watam because kuna Watam. So, and Honorable Owen Baya has explained how it happened there. So, pale kulikuwa kutamu, na hela zikatumika nyingi pale. Hizo zimeisha, labda Mheshimiwa Makao, sasa la mwisho.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I hear members under the concern that comes with it. However, Mr. Speaker, you've just crowned it by saying that this was a one-off. However, it's important for members to know it is not this money that it went to the various ministries. However, all those artisans, musicians, sculptors, actors, everybody who applied through the Department of Culture received that money through Department of Culture. Then others went through the Permanent Presidential Music Commission. Others went through Kenya Film Commission. Others went through National Museum of Kenya. Others went through Kenya Cultural Center. So it does not mean that the money went to the ministry, back to the ministry. But these recipients received this money through the media that they applied through. However, I think the most important thing and what is going to cure this is maybe we pray that this pandemic comes to an end so that hotels, entertainment joints are opened, so that now our artists can have a place to do their thing. I also want I like those artists who are performing on the street when we're in the budget making process, Mr. Speaker. So I think next time we must think about that, because right now we're even saying that our CDF is not there. Are we going again now to say there is not this money? In future, every member out of the 290 constituencies, we should propose that, and then we put in the budget so that we could
propose amendments to it so that you can, through CDF, also chip in. I mean, nothing stops this particular house from proceeding in that manner. Very well. The Honorable KJ did indicate that he was going to take up the matter, and that at least members have made some comments on the statement. Save, of course, the fact that the Honorable Kiari is saying that the policy should have been followed by the law. But now that we have the law on intellectual property, then it is again the House to interrogate that law to see in which ways it could be having shortcomings relating to policy on the ground. So again,
Clause 3.
I propose the question that Clause 3 be part of the bill. There's no amendment to this. I therefore put the question that Clause 3 be part of the bill. Will as many of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many of our contrary opinion say nay?
Yeah, this amendment is meant to specify, because this clause exempts PPPs from the Public Procurement and Assets Disposal Act, so it is meant to specify that in the event that public money is used, then the Public Procurement and Assets Disposal Act should apply. Thank you, Chair. I beg to move.
I propose the question that Clause 4 be amended as proposed by the Chair.
Put the question.
I now put the question that Clause 4 be amended as proposed by the Chair. Will as members of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as members of our contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. I now put the question that Clause 4, as amended, be part of the bill. Will as members of that opinion say aye?
Aye.
Will as members of our contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Clause 5.
I propose the question that Clause 5 be part of the bill.
There's no amendment to this. I therefore put the question that clause 5 be part of the bill. Will as members of that opinion say aye?
One person nominated by the Council of Governors, we are proposing to have 2, because this was already agreed upon when this bill went for mediation. So we didn't want to leave it again without resolving it. And then also to provide for co-option of the principal secretary responsible for a relevant area. So if that area is not already represented in the committee, we are providing for co-option of someone in an ex officio capacity to give skill in that specific area. Honorable Chair, I beg to move.
I propose the question that clause 6 be amended as proposed by the chair. And now, the Honorable Nyikal.
Yeah, I think I missed some point because the amendment is deleting. That means now the principal secretary will now not be. It's not clear.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Honorable Chair, the amendment is in 2 parts. The first part, B, deleting paragraph C is removing the principal secretary in charge of industrialization. What we are saying is that you could easily have all principal secretaries in that committee. But we are saying, let's have the one for
the question that clause 6 as amended be part of the bill. Will as members of that opinion say aye? Aye. Honorable members, I'll have a retake on that. Just pay a little attention, please. I now put the question that clause 6 as amended be part of the bill. Will as members of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as members of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Clauses 7 and 8.
I propose the question that clauses 7 and 8 be part of the bill. There are no amendments to this.
Relates to vacation of office. And B there says is otherwise unable or unfit to continue serving as a member of the committee. But what the committee is doing is deleting that and saying is removed from office for breach of provisions of Chapter 6 of the Constitution or deregistered by a professional body for professional misconduct. So we are trying to be...
By the chair. I now put the question that clause 9 be amended as proposed by the chair. Will as members of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as members of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. I now put the question that clause 9 as amended be part of the bill. Will as members of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as members of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Clauses 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15.
I propose the question that clauses 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15 be part of the bill. There's no amendment to this. I therefore now put the question that clauses 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15 be part of the bill. Will as members of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as members of a contrary opinion say nay? Ayes have it.
Clause 16.
I propose the question that clause 16 be part of the bill. Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Honorable Chair, I beg...
Clause 16 be amended as proposed by the chair. I now put the question that clause 16 be amended as proposed by the chair. Will as members of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as members of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. I now put the question that clause 16 as amended be part of the bill. Will as members of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as members of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Clause 17.
I propose the question that clause 17 be part of the bill.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I beg to move that clause 17 be amended as per the order paper. And Honorable Chair, here what we are trying to do is recruitment of staff. What the law was saying was that the Cabinet Secretary shall, in consultation with the DG, appoint staff of the Directorate. We felt that this should be left to the Public Service Commission. So what the amendment is saying is that this staff should be appointed subject to Section 31 and 37 of the Public Service Commission Act. So, and then we delete subsection 2, which says that the staff of the Directorate shall be appointed on such terms and for such period as the Cabinet Secretary may determine. We want all that to be done in line with the Public Service Commission Act. I beg to move, Honorable Chair.
I propose the question that clause 17 be amended as proposed by the chair. I now put the question that clause 17 be amended as proposed by the chair. Will as many as that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. I now put the question that clause 17 as amended be part of the bill. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Clause 18.
I propose the question that clause 18 be part of the bill. There's no amendment to this.
Who conducts procurement? So the division that we are making is to say that the directorate at the PPP, which is at Treasury, will guide and advise contracting authorities in project structuring, procurement, and evaluation, so that their role is only related to guiding. But then will lead contracting authorities in contract negotiations and deal closure, because that's the work now of the PPP unit, to negotiate now with willing partners and close deals, but not to lead procurement. Procurement is with the contracting authority, with guidance of the PPP unit, but deal closure and negotiation is with the PPP unit. I beg to move, Honorable Chair.
I propose the question that clause 19 be amended as proposed by the chair. I now put the question that clause 19 be amended as proposed by the chair. Will as many as that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. I now put the question that clause 19 as amended be part of the bill. Will as many as that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Clause 20.
I propose the question that clause 20 be part of the bill. I now put the question that clause 20, there being no
clause 21 is about PPP arrangements. But what the committee is proposing here is that any PPP arrangement should not go beyond a period exceeding 30 years. So that it can be less, but it should not be more than 30 years. It should not be more than a generation, so that no generation should be responsible for debts for another generation. So, Honorable Chair, this is what the committee is trying to do, to put a cap to any PPP, so that the period within which money should be recovered in a PPP should not go beyond 30 years. But it could be 10 years, it could be 5 years, it could be 3 years, but nobody should put a PPP of 50 years or 40 years or longer than a generation. I beg to move, Honorable Chair.
I propose the question that clause 21 be amended as proposed by the chair. The Honorable Nyikal.
Chair, I rise to support that, but I would just like some clarification. If you get into a situation where you actually get to 30 years and what was recovered has not been recovered, is there provision elsewhere that deals with that kind of eventuality?
Chair?
Thank you.
But my fears are like what Kikal is saying. Currently in this country, if you're looking at mortgage goes up to 30 years. But that's not a very big project. We are dealing with PPP are coming in to look at big projects that will require.
Very well, the Honorable Bayaya. The Honorable Obo Mohammed, member for Lamu, you had something to say to this?
As
that 30 years
may be
short,
but 30 years is a long time. And I think what we need to figure out, and I think in response to what Honorable Nyikal was saying, at the point of the project identification and negotiation, all those numbers will be taken into account at that point. But 30 years protects the public interest in this project. Because 30 years it's almost 1.5. So I think 30 years is a good balance.
The Honorable Makali Mulu.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I totally agree with what members are saying in terms of the 30 years. While we agree there's a generation and a half, I think also we need to be careful because depending on the level of investment, Mr. Chairman, you know what it means if the period is shorter, then the charges are likely to be higher, and they might actually end up hurting the same citizens we are trying to protect. So there's a bit of a balancing act. So I just imagine that by putting a cap of 30, we are not also now limiting the level of investment, because we might need a huge investment, which might then attract higher charges. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
The Honorable Ngugi Dwati.
As we have raised issues with the period of time, I think 30 years is a little bit too short. And when you consider a certain project that requires a lot of capital investment and that require many years of construction, for the partners or the private public investors to recoup their money and then hand over certain projects back to the public, I think that years is a little bit too short. So I would rather we go for a year like 50 years, remembering that also the investors who want to put their money may be discouraged by the period of time that they are required to recoup back their money. Thank you.
The Honorable Maero. Member for Butula.
Thank you, Chair. As much as I would consider 30 years to be a short time, Chair, there is a provision that provides for renegotiation, further requests for extension. So if we fix at 30 years, that would be bad. But now that there is a provision for asking for extension of the period, I think we should leave it at 30 years and leave that provision where the people concerned can ask for extension. Thank you.
Honorable members, I think you need to make a decision on this. I now put the question that clause 21 be amended as proposed by the chair. Will as members of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as members of a contrary opinion say nay? Nay. The ayes have it. I now put the question that clause 21 as amended be part of the bill. Will as members of our opinion say aye? Aye. Will as members of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Clause 22.
I propose the question that clause 22 be part of the bill. Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Honorable Chair, I beg to move that clause 22 be amended as per the order paper. Honorable Chair, this is just to add a clause there that one of the duties of contracting authorities should be ensuring that public participation is conducted on a project. I beg to move, Honorable Chair.
I propose the question that clause.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, just maybe we need your indulgence on this matter. I remember yesterday when we were discussing an amendment to the county government's bill, Mr. Chairman, there was an issue of this public participation. We are saying it's a constitutional requirement. So do we need to keep on mentioning it in all these other bills? Because I think to me it's just something which automatically must be done. And I thought we were asking whether there's need to put those more details in every bill about public participation, gender issues, and all that. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Chair.
Chair, there is no harm. Sometimes in law there is something that is called being abundantly cautious. So there's no harm. Public participation is a constitution.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I'm just recognizing what Honorable Makali is saying, and you've also alluded to it. But somebody also must have the responsibility, so that if it's not done, there is a place you can go. So like in this case, we are saying the contracting authority then has the responsibility to conduct public participation. Because you can also assume that, everybody will assume that the other person will conduct public participation, and then it ends up not being done.
Nini kinachoendelea wakati sheria zinapotengenezwa. Naam.
Very well. The honorable members now put the question that clause 22 be amended as proposed by the chair. Will as members of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as members of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. I now put the question that clause 22 as amended be part of the bill. Will as members of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as members of a contrary opinion say nay? Aye. The ayes have it.
Clauses 23 and 24.
I propose the question that clauses 23 and 24 be.
Honorable Chair, I beg to move that clause 25 be amended as per the order paper. And this is to ensure that any projects that are listed. This regards submission of project lists, that any projects that are listed are part of the national development agenda. So that if right now we are talking about a space of the Big Four, and medically is not a period. So we have decided to say biannually.
Will as many as the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Clause 26.
I propose the question that clause 26 be part of the bill. Chair, you have an amendment to this.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Honorable Chair, I beg to move that clause 26 be amended as per the order paper. And what we are saying is that the list should not be a secret, that the national list shall be published on the Directorate's website and the contracting authorities' website. And we will be making further recommendations on this matter with regards also to involvement of Parliament. So, Honorable Chair, I beg to move.
I propose the question that clause 26 be amended as proposed by the chair. I see interest from the Honorable Shaban Namsi. Member for Garissa Township.
Chair, this is not the first time that it's a good amendment because we want to make it public. But, you know, this is the routine. The president says procurement and tenders are put on the website, nothing has taken place. He said pending bills must be paid. So I think this House, as we make laws, we must make sure. This is a very good amendment, so that we know who are from the acquiring entity and from the directorate, so that any Kenyan can access the kind of PPEs projects that we are undertaking. It's important, but we keep on making laws. At the same time, nothing is happening.
Broel, the Honorable Sankok.
This one is very important, Honorable Chair, and I do support because, first of all, it will limit this issue of corruption because as it is.
Could you rekey in the Honorable Pasaris, member for Nairobi?
Go to the dispatch box.
Okay. Thank you, Chair. Chair, you know, we just talked about public participation, and at the same time, we're looking at the directorate using just the website, electronics. And I keep thinking, if you don't have a public participation, and then you end up just doing website, how many Kenyans have access to websites? How many Kenyans actually get to know what's going on the website? So I really think that the government spends a lot of money on media coverage. We should also say that when you have public participation, because these are big, big projects, like if you look at the Express Highway, we've got a public participation there. The Express Highway will probably...
Broel, the Honorable Mizigi Mneni, member for Taita.
Asante mwenyekiti, hata mimi nataka kuchukua hii fursa kuunga mkono mabadiliko haya ili wananchi wapate kujua serikali kuu inapangilia kufanya miradi gani na pia kuweza kutofautisha miradi ambayo inafanywa na serikali zetu za county na miradi ambazo pia zinafanywa na serikali kuu ili kuweza kuboresha utendaji kazi. Asante.
Honorable members, I now put the question that clause 26 be amended as proposed by the chair. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Will as many as of our contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. I now put the question that clause 26 as amended be part of the bill. Will as many of that opinion say aye? Will as many as of our contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Clauses 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, and 32.
I propose the question that clauses 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, and 32 be part of the bill. There are no amendments to these members. I therefore now...
Chair, here, it speaks to the issue of approval of feasibility reports. So it says that a contracting authority intending to implement a project through a PPP shall submit a feasibility report under Section 32 to the Directorate for evaluation. So what we are adding is just saying that the Directorate then will submit an evaluation report together with...
As proposed by the chair. I see no interest in this. I therefore now put the question that clause 33 be amended as proposed by the chair. Will as many of that opinion...
Participation, the PPOA came and submitted that in addition to direct procurement, privately initiated proposals and competitive bidding, we should also add restricted bidding. So, Honorable Chair, I beg to move that clause 37 be amended by adding restricted.
With D, when you talk of restricted bidding, unless you actually qualify it, you actually open opportunities where bidding can be in such a way that actually people are, it's done in such a way that it favors certain people. So I'm not quite sure whether the committee looked at this in details and why in the first place it wasn't there. I would propose that we remove this amendment of restricted bidding.
Honorable Ngugi Ndwate.
I really oppose this one. Chairman, I just wanted to, thank you, Chair. I just wanted to support the Chair on 2A. 2A, I really support that because Honorable Chairman, I'm a member of Public Accounts Committee, and we are seeing instances where Treasury is coming up with their own standard documents, and they are messing up the standard documents, such that you find that if you are to implement that contract, the government can lose a lot. So I support.
The Honorable Sankok.
Chair, I really do oppose completely this issue of restricted bidding, even though I know the public procurement law allows this one. But this is where now corruption meets the road. So I think we should think as this House, since from the first draft, there was no this restricted bidding. So let us remain with the first draft instead of now amending to add restricted bidding. This is very dangerous, Honorable Chair.
The Honorable Makali.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. You know, Mr. Chairman, while restricted bidding is part of is actually allowed in the procurement law, but I think, Mr. Chairman, with the level of investment of most of these projects under private partnership, with that kind of level of investment, I think we need to push for open tendering so that we don't have this business of restricted bidding.
The Honorable Obara, Akinyi, member for Kabondo Kasipur.
Thank you, Chairman. I support the committee. Chairman, this is a method of a select number of suppliers who are shortlisted because of their expertise. Mr. Chairman, this method eliminates brokers and briefcase businessmen so that we have people who are specialized in those areas bidding, and we don't waste time, and we don't have brokers and all those people. So I support the committee. Thank you.
The Honorable Mboni Mwalika, member for Kitui Rural.
Thank you, Chair. I support this amendment because restricting tendering occurs when there are very few suppliers. Very few suppliers to on services or goods, and they rarely occur actually, but at times they can occur. So it's very important to provide for them, so that when we have very few suppliers for this project, then we can have this method being used. Thank you, Chair.
The Honorable Mbadi John, member for Suba, leader of minority.
Chair, I think we need to also understand public-private partnership. You know, if you find there are people with Mr. Chairman, I wish
Honorable members, the Honorable
I wish Sankok could listen
Honorable
so that.
Sankok, kindly listen to the others also. They listen to
And
you.
we are still in Parliament, by the way, even though it is committee of the whole House. Chair, you know, when you want to develop a project through this initiative, there could be individuals who have money and can do it. It's not something that you float like any other tender or supplies of goods and services. This is something you can particularly target individuals who have the capacity to do it. And so you can end up with a restricted tender. Restricted tender is not a bad idea, Mr. Chairman, unless abused. But in case of public, this kind of arrangement, PPP is
44A. You know, if members have the I think that solves our worry for those of us who wanted to oppose. Because at least restricted tendering has really been made very clear under new clause 44A. And why do I support that? For example, that's why we have a problem in Mumias. The only people who can buy Mumias as a private entity must be people who have history in sugar milling. So if you don't do that, then...
Chair, thank you very much. I'm in support of the amendment, Chair, because I think even in the guidelines normally give restricted tendering with a certain amount. It is not all the amount that will be taken through restricted tendering, Mr. Chairman. So let members not be having any worry, because there must be guidelines for that, and we need to accept such a.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Chair, I support the committee for the good work they've done, but matters restricted tendering, Chair, I do oppose, because this is an avenue for giving individuals, one individual or two individuals, Chair, to make a decision which involves some big sums of money. And I would also, because it's a good gesture, I would suggest that we get an amendment that restricted tendering will only come after evaluation. We will only come after pre-qualification, because it's at the pre-qualification level where these companies are checked through, and you can tell which is better, which has papers, which has this kind of history, and that's how to work, Mr.
It's not coming in isolation. If you look at your order paper, you will see there will be a new clause that will be introduced. Once we agree to this, there will be a new clause that will be a new 44A that defines the circumstances under which the restricted. If you advertised, you will get all manner of brokers who will say they will do it. Then they will go negotiating with those two, right? And you might end up with one of the brokers who will not even end up doing it. But by knowing that globally there are only two companies that can do it, you go to those, you get the time and efficiency, and the cost does not change anyway. So it's in those kind of situations where you know for this project, there can only be the following people. And I think that's where it's a variation of the direct procurement, but now you are restricting. But the people must have been pre-qualified, and that's already included there. So let's allow the method. Then when we come to the new clause 44A, members will interrogate and see it's actually being provided for. And I think that's the better route to go than try to lock it out.
Very well, Leader of Majority, the Honorable Ishungwa, member for Kikuyu.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. And I want to begin from where the Leader of Majority has stopped at. And that particular case example of the East African Marines cable. If you get all manner of brokers, as the Leader of Majority says, if any of those brokers can offer you a better deal and go and negotiate with those two providers, why not? Because we are talking about public funds being used, and you must ensure that public funds are used in the most prudent and efficient way. I can hear the Leader of Majority saying that these are private funds. It is private funds that private investors are coming to invest in public assets and public goods. At the end of the day, the public will pay through their taxes. When you build a road, you will be charging the public at all for that road. Therefore, Honorable Speaker, I'm not saying that because I want to oppose. I am only saying we should be careful as to what we are doing, Honorable Speaker. But I want to ask her, when you look at the evaluate large number of tenders would be disproportionate to the value of works or services to be procured. That again, for me, opens that up an avenue for people to manipulate the processes. I would really want to ask the chair, even as a supporter, to consider moving a further amendment to 44A by deleting B, and probably also under direct procurement to remove the issue of urgency. Urgency is created, and Honorable Mbadi has probably suffered under this with IEBC. When you say that you will restrict, you will go for direct procurement because of the urgency and the time required. You have all the time, Mr. Chair, to determine what you need to do. There is no private investor who will walk into this country get into some contracts with some agency without having evaluated what is really required. And I want to support, but I want to urge the committee and the chair to consider deletion of that sub-article F on direct procurement and B on this restricted tendering, Chair.
The Honorable Nyenze.
Thank you, Chair. Mine is brief. I just want members to note that all these methods, direct procurement, restricted tendering, are provided for in the Act, in the PPO Act. So if they are provided, even if they are not written here, they are still in the Act, and they'll be followed. And if they are in the Act, that means they are proper methods of procurement. Thank you.
Honorable members, then allow me to put a question that clause 37 be amended as proposed by the chair. Will as many of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many of the contrary opinion say nay? Nay. The ayes have it. And now put the question, which is that clause 37. And now put the question, which is that clause 37 as amended be part of the bill. Will as many of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many of the contrary opinion say nay? Nay. The Honorable. Chair, what is out of order?
Thank you, Chair. I'm a bit overtaken by events now, but there was a further amendment I wanted to move so that, just for cleaning up, because up here it says restricted bidding, but down there it says restricted tendering. So I just wanted to move that further amendment so that we are on the same, they are on the same page. But this is with 37, because this is listing it, and then what is in 44 is the correct one. So we must list the correct one that we are having in 44A. So,
Chair, let me advise you. What you will do is we shall recommit so that I will clean it up.
I'm much obliged, Chair.
Yes. I now put the question, which is that clause 37 as amended be part of the bill. Will as many of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many of a contrary opinion say nay? Nay. The ayes have it. Proceed, please.
Clauses 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, and 55.
I propose the question that clauses 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, and 55 be part of the bill. There are no amendments to this. I therefore now put the question that clauses 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, and 55 be part of the bill. Will as many of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Clause 56.
Honorable members, just before I propose that question, honorable members, sometimes the honorable Odwal, I want to inform members that sometimes, of course, you will press. I have 30 members here who are interested in speaking to any one of the issues here. So you cannot quarrel with the chair that he has not given you an opportunity. You will have an opportunity. The Honorable Odwal, do not worry. You will have an opportunity. I now propose the question that clause 56 be part of the bill. Chair?
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Honorable Chair, I beg to move that clause 56 be amended as per the order paper, and it's just an issue of numbering and in anticipation of some new clauses. I beg to move, Chair.
I propose the question that clause 56 be part of the bill, be amended as proposed by the chair. The Honorable Odwal Adhiambo.
Chair, thank you, but I would really like, because this is a House of Records, to put it on record
that why I came over was to be sure that the system was working.
Very well.
Chair, earlier on, the system had not been working. And since you advised us to put up our hand, and I did not put up my hand, when you didn't pick me, I had no way of knowing that it was because you had 30 people. So, Chair, I think it is not fair to have on record my being presented as complaining when, in fact, the system is the one that had not been working.
The Honorable Professor Odhiambo, you have been one of the most consistent members in participating in this particular aspect of lawmaking in this House. I will be the last person to castigate you because you have been participating quite well, and I have no reason to find fault in you. Yes, so you are correctly within the House, and your participation is well appreciated. So, honorable members, I therefore now propose the question that clause 56 be amended as proposed by the chair. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. I now put the question that clause 56 as amended be part of the bill. Will as many as say nay? The ayes have it.
Clause 60.
I propose the question that clause 60 be part of the bill. Chair?
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I beg to move that clause 60 be amended as per the order paper. And this is essentially to put a timeline to how much time a private party and the contracting authority have to begin a project after the contract is signed. So it says that within 12 months of the date of the execution of the contract, the private or the contractor should have begun, in failure to which the contracting authority shall terminate the contract and no liability shall be attached to the contracting authority or the government. And this is because some people come with privately initiated proposals, they agree, a lot of work is done, they sign, then they disappear. So this is just to make sure that if you disappear, then within that period, then the government has no liability if they terminate the contract. I beg to... No. These are new sections. Earlier on, we had thought of 6 months, but we are putting it at 12 months. Thank you, Honorable Chair. I beg to move.
I propose the question that clause 56 be amended as proposed by the chair. I see a lot of interest in this. We'll start with the Honorable Mboko, member for Likoni.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I also want to support this kind of amendment because, Mr. Speaker, sir, everything which is done, it has to have a timeline. If you have a timeline, it will be very effective in terms of the projects. And also, we are going to avoid additional costing from the government. Most of the times, there are so many projects which have not taken the time frame as indicated, and after a period of time, there is a need of adding some extra costing to ensure that that project commences. So this is a good proposal, and I support it.
The Honorable Ondo Ojiambo, member for Funyola.
Chair, I would imagine the thinking behind the amendment is good and is plausible. The only danger I see, and I thought could be cured under 3, was where there are existing litigation in respect of probably NEMA certification, county government certification, where there are delays in approval of the plans by the county governments and those kind of a thing. For it to have a very definite statement that shall terminate probably might render the whole process a bit untidy. We could have a provision, a discretion, where the procurement entity can look at the mitigating factors and probably negotiate on the project implementation timelines. That's my thought. Those are my thoughts, sir.
Very well. The Honorable Dr. Nyika.
Chair, I also agree with the principle, but as Honorable Undo has said, one are issues that may relate to the government itself, processes. But what about if there are issues that are actually beyond the people involved, which normally would go under force majeure or something unpreventable. Do we need to bring, I know it's not my area, but I've had it before. Do we need to bring that one in, like you sign and there's a flood or something, or there is some uprising or something? How do we handle those? I just wanted to know how those issues can be handled.
The Honorable Nyikal, I hear the Honorable Kamala speaking to Shamala speaking to force majeure, and I'll give an opportunity to speak to this.
Thank you, Chair. It is my considered opinion that issues of force majeure and unforeseen circumstances,
you would need 12 months. So I support the committee in actually ensuring that it goes to 12 months. But within 12 months, they safeguard the government from legal action by the contractors, which I think the government has got a lot of contracts that they've done, and people have actually extended the contracts. We've seen, like, for instance, Kenya Pipeline and the Zakem issue, pending bills. So when it comes to a public-private partnership, I think it's important to also protect the government and ensure that you have a limited time in which a contractor is supposed to implement the project. So I support the committee.
Members, I now put the question that clause 60 be amended as proposed by the chair. Will as members of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as members of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. I now put the question that clause 60 as amended be part of the bill. Will as members of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as members of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Clause 61.
I propose the question that clause 61 be part of the bill. There's no amendment to this, members. I now put the question that clause 61 be part of the bill. Will as members of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as members of a contrary?
I have realized that, one, there is an inquiry ordered by the Speaker on this matter, so I'll wait for the recommendation of the Committee of Energy. And secondly, I have also realized that these independent power producers, in fact, theirs is individual contracts with the Ministry of Energy. So it's not per se within the public-private sector framework. So I tend to withdraw all my amendments for now.
Well, the Honorable Duane, but they were very exciting. I was personally excited by your proposals, but it is well.
Chair, I agree with you. A lot of people and many who are waiting, it was very interesting and very exciting. But you know, as a season...
Yes. There's no amendment to this then. Honorable members, then, I now propose the question. I now put the question that clause 62 be part... propose the question that clause 65 be part of the bill. Chair, you have an amendment to this.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Honorable Chair, let me thank also Honorable Duale for dropping some of his amendments in favor of the law and reason. I beg to move, Honorable Chair, that clause 65 be amended as per the order paper. Honorable Chair, this amendment regards the county project list. So what we are saying is that the CIDP, so that it's not just a project that has been drawn from anywhere, so that we are sure that this is what the public wants. Honorable Chair, I beg to move.
I propose the question that clause 65 be amended as proposed by the chair. The Honorable Sankok?
As much as I want to support, but surely the county government having PPP, private-public partnership, we are risking, because very soon you will find everything within county governments and within counties are owned by private individual. I think I will request the chair, with due respect and the majority leader, let us go slow on this, because we already overburdened by debt. And if we go to this, the expressway is costing us around 61 billion. meaning around 2 billion per kilometer. We will go into this private-public partnership with county government, and now our governors behave. We are at risk. We may not be able to repay.
The Honorable Wangwe.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, I rise to support the proposal by the Chair to amend. Chair, it's important to include the reports, all projects by county government in CIDP, because this is the main document, Honorable Chair, that enables us to know where does the county government lie in terms of development. Therefore, it will be good that even if the county government has entered into any kind of PPP, let it be known to all to Kenyans, especially through a structured document like CIDP. Thank you, Honorable Chair, and I support.
The Honorable Leader of Majority.
Honorable Chair, I just want to comfort the Honorable nominee number 1 that indeed this House has already pronounced itself that PPPs should take place in the county governments. So, and it's important that we empower the county government to actually enter into PPPs. And I'll give you a typical example. If a county government wants to do a specialist hospital in their county and don't have money, they could well contract a certain university to come and do that hospital through a PPP. No, I'm just saying they could do through a PPP framework. And then they organize on how they do it so that the people get the service, and they pay for those services without having to wait that they cannot provide that service until the government gives them money. I think this is the kind of opening we are trying to do. But approval has to be done by the national. Approval is by the National Treasury, and that's why the requirement that even county lists, county project must appear on the national list. They must also be on the county integrated development plan. So it's not something that comes from the air. Then it's harmonized within the national framework. So the safeguards are there. And I think the important thing is this amendment is actually bringing, this amendment is not saying they should be, it's actually saying if it's done at the county, it must be reported to the national.
The CIDP in a county is a 10-year plan, 10-year plan. Emerging issues coming, for example, COVID has come in. It's not part of that CIDP. If you want to tie PPPs in the county to CIDP, then we're actually telling them they will not even do any, because there are emerging issues that come out and need interventions, and PPP would be the only solution to that intervention. And therefore, we should not tie PPPs at the county to CIDPs. We should not. It's actually stifling the ability of the counties to actually engage in PPPs. Mr. Speaker, I submit.
The Honorable Angatia.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I also add my voice to these amendments, and would like to disagree with my brother here. The effectiveness, and this will eliminate corruptions, the cartels surrounding the governors, because everything will be coordinated at the national level through one institution. The issue of involving the CIDP, the County Integrated Development Plan, this is to ensure that the project is within the parameters or the structures of that law. Lastly, Mr. Speaker, I support the committee and congratulate the chair. You've done a wonderful job with the committee members. Thank you.
The Honorable Dwale.
Chair, you know, here we have to be very careful, but no, Chair, you know, Chair, tell the aspirant for gubernatorial seat for Kamega to listen to me.
Order.
Chair, we know our governors. We have lived with them. And unless the chair, and I want you to give the chair the last chance, that either the National Treasury or the PPE committee will have an overriding powers in the approval, it is very dangerous to give governors and county governments a free check to look for anybody. It must be anchored in law. Because these are people who can't pay the pending bills of our people. Tomorrow, they will bring projects owned by the governors themselves. And a good example is the governor of Muranga and the milk the milk and the is it cashew nut, some cooperative he has started. So let us be very careful that if the committee at the national level is vetting and is approving, which the leader of majority has brought to my attention, then we are comfortable. But we should not give current governors, future governors sitting in this house, a blank check. They must be approved.
Honorable members, so that we can make progress, let me allow the chair to have the final say on this. Chair?
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Honorable Chair, I think the concerns raised by members on this matter are valid. But Honorable Chair, I wish Honorable Owen Baya could listen.
Honorable members, let us have order so that...
Honorable Chair, the concerns raised by honorable members are valid because of sometimes if you give the counties a free, a blank check, people might end up borrowing it. Every PPP has contingent liability on government. So, Honorable Chair, I just want to assure the honorable members that if you look at Clause 6 of this bill, or Section 6, you will see that, 6, you'll see the constitution of the PPP committee. And it consists of the PSs from Treasury to Planning and representatives of the Council of Governors. So we have a center where all projects are approved from. The improvement that the committee was making at that point was to say that just the same way we said that any projects coming for PPPs should be part of the National Development Plan, is the same way any project coming as a PPP should be part of the county CIDP, so that it's not just the governor has met an investor and has decided, yes, your idea is very good, let's go. It cannot be at the whims. It should be, the governor must go back to the CIDP and see that the project is part of that CIDP that was approved by the county assembly or by the house in this case. So, Honorable Chair, this is just to make it better. I really request members that we support this amendment. I submit, Honorable Chair.
Well heard. Honorable members, I now put the question that Clause 65 be amended as be part of the bill. There are no amendments to this. I therefore put the question that clauses 66, 67, and 68 be part of the bill. Will as many of that opinion say aye? Will as many of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Clause 69.
I propose the question that Clause 69 be part of the bill, Chair.
Honorable Chair, I beg to move that Clause 69 be amended as per the order paper. And Clause 69 is speaking to the issue of minimum obligations of parties to a project. And what the committee is adding is that every project agreement shall make provision for the revenue sharing mechanisms and thresholds between a private party and the government, where a project's revenue meets and exceeds the target return on investment negotiated under a project agreement. And we are just taking caution here that sometimes you have agreed that in 30 years you will raise the investor will raise their money, or in 15 years. But in 10 years, and the expressway is an example, if the tolls and the traffic on the road have raised money before the end of the period, there should be room for negotiation so that they leave earlier than the required period. Because the money can have been raised and the negotiation was already done, and the investor stays even after they had already met their revenue targets. So we were just putting in a clause to ensure that government is shielded in the event that revenues are raised, especially earlier than targeted. I beg to move, Honorable Chair.
Honorable members, I then propose, I propose the question that Clause 69 be amended as proposed by the Chair. Honorable members, I now put the question that Clause 69 be amended as proposed by the Chair. Will as many of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. I now put the question that Clause 69 be amended as proposed by the Chair, as amended be part of the bill. Will as many of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as have a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Clauses 70 and 71.
I propose the question that clauses 70 and 71 be part of the bill. There are no amendments to this. I therefore put the question that clauses 70 and 71 be part of the bill. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Will as many as have a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Clause 72.
I propose the question that clause 72 be part of the bill. Chair, you have an amendment to this?
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Honorable Chair, I beg to move that clause 72 be amended as per the order paper, and this is just cleaning up, removing the word periodic because it means almost nothing, and replacing it with the word biannual so that it is definite. I beg to move.
I propose the question that clause 72 be amended as proposed by the chair. Honorable members, I now put the question that clause 72 be amended as proposed by the chair. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Will as many as of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. I therefore now put the question that clause 72 as amended be part of the bill. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Will as many as of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Clauses 73, 74, and 75.
I propose the question that clauses 73, 74, and 75 be part of the bill. There are no proposed amendments to this. I therefore now put the question that clauses 73, 74, and 75 be part of the bill. Will as many of that opinion say aye? Will as many as of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Clause 76.
I propose the question that clause 76 be part of the bill. Chair? Honorable members, there was a proposed amendment by the Honorable Duale, but he has dropped his amendment, and we thank him. So the only amendment that is there for consideration is the one by the chair.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Honorable Chair, I beg to move that clause 76 be amended as per the order paper. Honorable Chair, this regards the issue of auditing. And Honorable Chair, auditing of the project company. The project company is the private investor and the contracting authority, which is a government institution, coming together and forming a project company for purposes of moving the project forward. So what we are doing here, to have a balance, we had a big debate around this issue of auditing by the Auditor General for the project company. So what we have said, where we found a balance, is that the Auditor General should audit accounts of the project company where the counterpart funding for a project includes public funds. Where all monies for the project are provided by a private party, the accounts of the project company shall be audited annually by a reputable audit firm appointed in consultation with the National Treasury. I beg to move.
I propose the question that clause 76 be amended as proposed by the chair. I see interest from the Honorable Ichungwa, member for Kikuyu.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, and I want to oppose this amendment. And my reason is simple, Chair. As I had stated earlier, yes, you're putting private capital, but this private capital, Honorable Chair, is expected to be recouped from public funds, not just private capital that is going to be recouped through profits from some enterprise. And therefore, Honorable Speaker, it is important and imperative that the Office of the Auditor General is involved in audit of any project where public money, whether it is at the beginning of the project, at the inception, or at the end of the project. Because, and I want to give the case example of this expressway from JKIA to Westlands, to ABC. Sure. As much as it is CRBC or whoever it is that is putting their private capital into that project, if you fail to involve the Auditor General, Honorable Speaker, today, under the Jubilee administration, Honorable Chair, had we involved the Auditor General in determining what amounts of money will go into that project, Honorable Speaker, then we make sure that Kenyans get value for money, Honorable Chair. And therefore, I want to strongly oppose any insinuation that we can have the public spend their money on projects that are actually public assets, Honorable Chair, without involvement of the office that constitutionally is charged with ensuring that Kenyans are getting value for money for their taxes. And Honorable Chair, I want to strongly oppose that amendment.
The Honorable Leader of Minority.
Chair, first of all, I'm a bit disturbed with the argument by the MP for Kikuyu. Both of us being accountants, and when you talk of a reputable audit firm, why do we want to believe that Auditor General is more reputable than a private firm, audit firm? I don't understand that. And secondly, if the government has already signed a contract for the development of a project, and that contract includes the cost, I don't see why we should be bothered if the government is not putting in money for the construction of that project, and the money is coming from a private individual. Why would we be bothered with the accounting for that money within? It is the duty of the party which is providing the money to ensure that the money is well spent. So long as the project itself is delivered to us, we had already agreed on the price. So how will this change? The change that is referring to, which Senator Wetangula was referring to, is where around 10 years ago, we wanted to spend so much in this project and there was an agreement. Now, 10 years later, it's 3 times. But where you have agreed on the cost, it is I don't see why we should involve the Auditor General, who is so busy with looking at how our public funds are spent.
And secondly, Honorable Speaker, I'm just wondering whether it's really necessary. If the parameters have been agreed upon, why do we need again to get involved as the national government in auditing as long as we get what we are supposed to get as prescribed in the contract? I totally do not understand the import of amendment under 2B. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
The Honorable Duale.
Chair, let me first bring to the attention of the House that the Auditor General, under the Public Audit Act, has no mandate to audit private entities. Now let's start from there. Because the first one, the A, I think I agree with it. Where public funds are involved, then the Auditor General comes in. Where a single cent of public resources have not been put in, the Auditor General, under his own act, will not get involved. So in the event, and I think the committee did very well. In the event, because what Honorable member for Kikuyu, if he listens to me, is raising, in a situation where somebody builds a project, but Kenyans pay for it, for due diligence purpose, the committee has put a private audit can audit that firm of their choice, whether it's Deloitte, but in consultation with the National Treasury to protect the interests. But Chair, if you give Honorable Ngugi, he will tell you that as members of the Public Accounts Committee, today, Telecom Kenya, which I think the government of Kenya has a share, is audited by a private entity. Okay, I think Deloitte and that. And the Public Accounts Committee, chaired by Honorable Wandai, have been asking for their accounts certified for the last 6 months. So that's why the element of giving in consultation with the National Treasury, so the National Treasury now can come in where, you know, an entity has refused to provide those details. So I think let us not bring the element of Auditor General. Auditor General has a mandate under the Public Audit Act and under the Constitution.
Honorable members, I now put the question. No, there's been enough debate. I now put the question that clause 76 be amended as proposed by the chair. Will as members of that opinion say aye? Will as members of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. I now put the question that clause 76 as amended be part of the bill. Will as members of that opinion say aye? Will as members of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
that as part of the annual report, we should have financial report of projects which have been completed and are being operated by a private party. So even what is being operated by the private party must be put as part of the annual report. So if you're collecting money, the report that includes the financial reports of the private company, because what we have added there is the private company must also bring their financial reports as part of the annual report, so that we're able to tell that they have raised how much money from that project. But the other important thing we are adding is the cabinet secretary shall submit a copy of the annual report to Parliament, so that Parliament is seized of the matter and of what is happening in each and every area. So the committee has also taken that into consideration, so that the role of Parliament is not lost. So I beg to move, Honorable Chair.
I propose the question that clause 82 be amended as proposed by the chair. I see interest from the Honorable Nzenku Musimi.
Thank you, Chairman. I want to appreciate the thinking of the committee on this particular item, and I want to support them by particularly because they have appreciated the role and the involvement of Parliament, because sometimes we leave the executive to do their own things and we sit and watch, so I support.
The Honorable Nyikal.
There are three things I've observed where I'm seeing inconsistency. When we started with the procurement, we excluded them from public procurement on that account. When we have come to 76, we have excluded them. When we are now coming to 82, then we are bringing them back into Parliament. I don't see how many private companies would want this. So I'm seeing a little bit of consistency there. So if I can get an explanation where in procurement we excluded it, where in 76 we excluded it, and now we are then coming back into Parliament.
The Honorable Ngugi. The early one. The Honorable Shamala.
I'm convinced that the reasons we have removed the bottlenecks in the earlier clauses is for ease of doing business, and so that we can fast track the negotiations, but still be accountable at this level in clause 82.
The Honorable Sangok.
Thank you very much, Speaker, Chair. I do support this one because it have allayed my fears of probably a company which was supposed to collect their own funds within 10 years, extending to 20 years, meaning they have an extra 10 years of collecting our revenue. But if the report of their accounts is brought to this House and it is part of the Public Accounts Committee, then we'll be able to know that they have already collected their money so that they can finish up. So I do support this particular amendment, and they have allayed my earlier fear, so I withdraw my nay, which was earlier in the other amendment.
Honorable members, I now put the question. That clause 82 be amended as proposed by the chair. Will as members of that opinion say aye? Will as members of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. I now put the question that clause 82 as amended be part of the bill. Will as members of that opinion say aye? Will as members of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Clauses 83, 84, 85, 86, and 87.
I propose the question that clauses 83, 84, 85, 86, and 87 be part of the bill. I now put the question that clauses 83, 84, 85, 86, and 87 be part of the bill. Will as members of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as members of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
New clauses. New clause 21A.
This is where Ichungwa comes in. Now, this is where the Honorable Ichungwa, a member for Kikuyu, has proposed some amendments. So, We will start with the Honorable Ishungwa to move for second reading.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. And I want to beg that I do move for second reading. New clause 21A. Honorable Chair, I beg to move that the amendment be adopted as stipulated on the order paper. The intention, Honorable Chair.
The Honorable Ishungwa, you need to say that it be read a second time. You need to use those words.
Chair, I thought I'd already said that I beg to move that the new clause 21A be read a second time.
That is correct.
I thought I'd already said that. And I was now going to explain, Honorable Chair, that the intention of the new clause 21A, Chair, is basically to reinforce what is already in the bill, because Part 3 and Part 6 of the bill categorize PPP agreements into those that would also concern county governments. And Honorable Chair, I want to give authority to the Attorney General to have the power to determine whether a project concerns a county government. Honorable Chair, you know we have had issues with even bills in this House and in the Senate in determination of between the two speakers of the two houses whether a bill concerns the county governments or not. And therefore, I want clarity, Honorable Speaker, that the Attorney General be the person that will determine whether a project will concern county government, so that we do not have cases, Honorable Chair, where, as the former leader of majority, Honorable Duala, was saying, where a governor decides to engage into projects that necessarily may not involve county governments, or where a contracting authority gets into projects that may touch on county governments, Honorable Speaker. And I just want that clarity, that any contracting authority or county government that intends to get into a PPP agreement will then apply to the AG to determine, to give a determination as to whether the proposed project concerns a county government, and thereafter issue a certificate, Honorable Chair. And I beg to move, Honorable Chair.
Honorable members, I propose the question that new clause 21A be now read a second time. I will give the first opportunity to the chair and then to the leader of minority.
Yes. Thank you, Honorable Chair. Honorable Chair, Honorable Ichung'wa is my very good friend. But the whole purpose of this bill, and this bill, Honorable Chair, should be noted that it's coming back a second time. The whole purpose of the bill is to reduce bottlenecks. So if we are making any amendments to increase bottlenecks, yet you have a committee that has national government and county governments, to which project is submitted for determination of all these factors. So if again you say a project has to go to the AG single-handedly determines the county government's dispute.
Honorable members, you don't need to carry up your hands.
We will just get into further dispute. So I'm constrained to ask Honorable Ichung'wa I'm constrained to ask Honorable Ichung'wa to reconsider this amendment so that these proposals go to the project committee. The project committee has representatives from the Council of Governors, which we have increased their numbers. It has the principal secretaries. They make a determination of the project, and the project proceeds. That is if we want to have PPPs. But if we don't want to have them, we add these bottlenecks. Honorable Chair, I'm constrained to oppose.
The Honorable Leader of Minority, followed by the Leader of Majority.
Chair, actually, the Chair of the committee has taken words from my, but let me just re-emphasize that we don't want too much bureaucracy. Look, if you look at the composition of the committee, there is the presence of the Solicitor General, who is supposed to give legal advice to this team. And actually, Solicitor General is from the Attorney General's office. So I don't see why we should again create another level where now, before you start the process, you write to AG. I think this amendment, well-intentioned, but is not serving any useful purpose. And so, Honorable Kimani Ichung'wa, we will either defeat it or you withdraw it.
The Honorable Leader of Majority.
Honorable Chair, I think the first thing we must agree in defeating this amendment is, first of all, the Attorney General has power. We are not giving him more power. That's one. The Schedule 4 of the Constitution is also very clear in terms of what functions are county, what functions are national. We've also agreed just here that the county government shall give its list to the national. So the project will be very clear, these are the county lists. They must be approved by the national. So basically what we are trying to do, the devil is in the detail here. In this amendment, in 21A2, a contracting authority, okay, which enters into a PPP shall apply to the AG for determination as to whether the proposed project concerns a county government. This expressway, any county government can argue that it concerns a county in Kisumu because vehicles will be moving over this road, yeah? Another one will be in Mombasa. So before you have gotten concurrence, the PPP person will be taken through a rigmarole because everyone will be saying, this also affects our county. You must come and make a presentation to us to approve this project. A project in Turkana to do like the windmill in Masabit, people will be saying it affects other counties because electricity will be moving there. Let us avoid this kind of situation.
The Honorable Ishunga, just relax. You will have,
let us avoid these issues that could create uncertainty and situations where no project will ever be completed because of everyone trying to claim that it affects them. We've seen, Honorable Speaker, Honorable Chair, we've seen in this we've been taken to court by the Senate that even an appropriation bill affects counties because money is spent in the counties. You know, people can extend this issue of what concerns counties to just delay and kill even very good projects. So let's just defeat this because Honorable Chunga does not want to remove it. Let us take a vote, and I would urge that we don't add any more bureaucracy than we already have. Well, exactly.
The Honorable Kandie Joshua, member for Baringo Central.
Thank you, Chair. I am in agreement with the Leader of Majority. I am totally opposing this 21A because, first of all, if Honorable Uchungwa knows the work the AG has, he should even, this one, you know, the import of this bill is to fast track PPPs in Kenya. And therefore, we need to hasten the people who are interested in putting their money in projects in Kenya. And therefore, I am urging my friend, Mr. Ichungwa, to withdraw this amendment, and we proceed, Mr. Chair.
The Honorable Nyenze.
Thank you, Chair. I am actually standing to oppose what Ichungwa is saying, because this is creating more bureaucracy. Since the project committees have already done the work, let's not take it back to the NG. So I oppose.
The Honorable Ishungwa, final.
Chair. Chair, you know I'm from Kiambu County, not Nyeri County. So I know the difference between the government, so legal advice, Honorable Chair, to make a determination so that, Chair, we avoid the very issues that the Leader of Majority is talking about. That tomorrow, somebody will claim that the expressway from JKIA to Rironi to ABC crosses maybe from Machakos to Nairobi and therefore involves county governments. To cure that mischief, Honorable Speaker, is exactly what I intended to do with this 21A, that the government's legal advisor will make a determination ab initio that this particular project does not involve county governments, Honorable Chair. So that tomorrow, nobody will go to court to argue that that expressway passed through Machakos, the people of Machakos were never consulted. That expressway touched Kiambu or Nairobi, the people were never consulted. Honorable Chair, I do things for posterity. I do not do things to excite anybody. I do not do things. I do not legislate in this house to even please the executive or those in power today. I therefore will still stand with this amendment. It is for posterity. It is the right thing to do, Honorable Chair, and I wish to beg those people who vote with their conscience to support.
Honorable members, I now put the question that new clause 21A be now read a second time. Will as members of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as members of a contrary opinion say nay? Nay. The nays have it. The Honorable Ishungwe, the Honorable Member for Kikuyu, the Honorable
Chair,
Ishungwe.
Thank you. I was being disrupted by those who are being mobilized to oppose, even without knowing what they're opposing.
The Honorable Ishungwe, withdraw that. Please
Honorable
withdraw.
Chair,
Withdraw that part of the statement.
I beg to withdraw.
Very well. Proceed.
For the sake of moving forward, Chair, I beg to withdraw that. Is there unnecessary distractions? The unnecessary distractions, Honorable Chair, is what I was pointing to. Honorable Chair, I wish to move, Honorable Chair, that new clause 59A be read a second time. Huh?
Just hold on, the Honorable Ishungwe.
Oh, there's another. Oh, there's a 44. Whose? Oh.
Yes,
Is
we
the
have
chair
a 44 by the chair. But the Honorable Ishungwe, this is just advice from the chair here that you consider your further amendments in 59 and 65. The Honorable Ishungwe, member for Kikuyu. Yeah, just relook at them because they have a correlation to the 21 that has just been rejected.
Of procurement. And maybe I'll ask your guidance, Honorable Chair, given the fact that in clause 37, we listed D as restricted bidding, whether we do not change this title now to restricted bidding so that it is consistent with what we amended in clause 37. So I move that that new clause 44A. Chair, let me get your guidance on that.
Yes, you need to move that new clause 44A be now read a second time.
Which I did already.
You have done that, and you are comfortable with the explanation?
Yeah, so I'm seeking a further amendment that rather than restricted tendering, it reads restricted bidding, so that it is consistent with what we have listed in clause 37.
Thank you.
Honorable Chair, it is just to explain, to introduce restricted bidding and explain the circumstances under which restricted bidding can be used as a method of procurement. I beg to move.
Very well. Honorable members, I propose the question that new clause 44A be now read a second time. I now put the question that new clause 44A be now read a second time. Will as members of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as members of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. I propose the question that new clause 44A be part of the bill. I put the question that new clause 44A be part of the bill. Will as members of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as members of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. So the Honorable Chair, you note that you have moved the new clause 44A in an amended form. And yes, so you don't need to go back to the 37 that we had purposed to reconsider. So it is well done.
New clause 59A.
The Honorable Ishungwe, what do you want to do with this?
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I was consulting with the leader of minority. You know, we are both accountants and we are very diligent, so we have to keep consulting. Honorable Chair, I beg to move that a new clause 59A be read a second time, but in an amended format, Honorable Chair. And the amended format, of course, is based on the fall, the glorious fall of 21A. So I want to remove 59 59A1, for the new clause to read that the bill be amended by inserting the following new clause immediately after clause 59. Now the 2 becomes 1, that the contracting authority shall submit a copy of the public-private partnership agreement, the project financials and risk assessment report to the National Assembly. Then 2, that the National Assembly shall consider and approve. The order paper reads approve or reject. I want to remove or reject to read consider and approve the project agreement within 30 days instead of the 90 days that appear on the order paper. Honorable Chair, my basis for this amendment is simple, Honorable Chair. All these public-private partnerships, Honorable Chair, as I have alluded to earlier, involve public assets. Members of Parliament in the National Assembly are the ones constitutionally under Article 94 of the Constitution that are given powers by the Constitution to represent the people. The same people who will be taxpayers that will take care of the cost of many of these projects, Honorable Speaker. What I'm asking, Honorable Chair, is that at least every public-private partnership agreement that is entered into, members of Parliament through your respective committees, you have an opportunity to interrogate those public-private partnerships. Honorable Chair, if you can protect me from the Leader of Majority, and I wish to state again to him, I am not here to legislate for him, or for the executive. He gives me my time.
Do not
he
worry.
will have his say.
Do not worry, you are on record. Just proceed.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. It's only that because I came and sat next to him, he assumes he can intimidate me. He knows I can never be intimidated, least of all by somebody from Kipipiri. Honorable Chair, I was saying the basis is just that the National Assembly, being the people's representatives, needs to have an opportunity to interrogate these PPP agreements. Honorable Chair, if we were in other countries, these agreements would be good to pass as they are, where public scrutiny of agreements is open. Honorable Chair, we are in a country where I have stated without any fear of contradiction that we are in a country where state capture by the executive is not imagined. It is real. There is actual state capture. Many of the PPP agreements, Honorable Speaker, Chair, that you will find come into effect are agreements that are designed not for the benefit of the country and taxpayers, Honorable Chair, but for the benefit of private enterprises and private business people in this country, Honorable Chair. And the only way, Honorable Chair, that we can protect public interest is by having the National Assembly, being the house that is also constitutionally charged with the responsibility of appropriating national government resources and the people's resources in this country, to have the National Assembly to have a role in scrutiny of these agreements, so that we ensure we protect, we are able to get public assets, Honorable Chair, that are done efficiently, but also more importantly, Chair, where value for money is protected by the people's representatives. Honorable Chair, I have had time with the Leader of Majority, and that's why we are sitting next to each other, to discuss, and the Leader of Minority, to discuss some of these amendments, Honorable Chair, and even the further amendment to reduce the number of times, because we are being told that this bill in its entirety is to be able to reduce bottlenecks. If today members of the National Assembly will view themselves as a bottleneck, yet they have a constitutional duty and responsibility and obligation they owe to Kenyans to offer oversight over public assets, Honorable Chair, then we must really question ourselves as to what our role as members of Parliament is. If we will be used as rubber stamps to rubber stamp things that are being done by the executive without any recourse. Therefore, Chair, I really want to beg that even as members contribute, we look at our role in terms of being legislators
who have a constitutional responsibility to oversight, and we also be cognizant of the country that we are living in, a country where state capture by the executive, where decisions in this country, Honorable Speaker,
the Honorable Ishunga, we need to make progress.
Therefore, Honorable Speaker, and I really want to beg Honorable Speaker as I move that we look into this issue devoid of emotions, devoid of politicking, because if you want to politic, we know where to politic, but look at our role as members of parliament, as the people's representatives, and our oversight role as a House, Honorable Chair, and I beg to move.
The Honorable Ishungwa, you must always remember that all these members are here as equal members. We are
Except
all
the
members
hecklers.
are equal. But before I propose the question, the Honorable Ishungwa, I just need some clarification from you. You have proposed to move this in an amended form, that your number 2 now becomes your number 1, but what do you want to do with that part about the certificate issued under Section 21A, which has failed, has been rejected?
You see, I said we remove that
it.
one because it's now moribund.
Very well.
Since 21A fell, that's why I'm renumbering.
Very well, very well. I will then propose the question, honorable members, that new clause 59A be now read a second time. I see interest from leader of minority. Honorable members, you know this, he has priority, so he'll speak.
But yes, but anyway, he saw me. The chair saw me first. The chair saw me first, but he has priority over me.
Yes, the leader of minority will speak, then the leader of majority will speak.
Chairman, in just a minute,
Proceed,
I just want to say that I am very, very reluctant in mixing the roles of the 3 arms of government. Yes. That is why I'm concerned about what I feel is judicial overreach. The same parliament should restrict its responsibility on legislation, representation, and oversight. Let us not get involved in approving government programs. Because really, where will we end? We will start approving vouchers here before they are paid. So, Mr. Chairman, for me, the amendments that have been carried previously here, which allowed Parliament to be getting reports about these projects. And there is nothing that stops any committee of Parliament or even Parliament as a whole in requiring the executive to supply us with information. And therefore, Mr. Chairman, without belaboring the point, I oppose this amendment.
Leader of majority?
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I think I just want to underscore to reject this amendment, oppose it on the issue of the fundamental separation of responsibilities between the national parliament and the executive. Immediately we start conjoining these two, we are getting ourselves into a quagmire. I beg that the House rejects this amendment for purposes of moving on.
Honorable members, I now put the question that new clause 59A be now read a second time. Will as many of that opinion say aye? Will as many of our opinion say nay?
Nay!
The nays have it.
Ichungwa, drop. Drop the others. We finish this thing.
New clause 65A.
The Honorable Ishungwa?
Just drop. And please don't
Chair, in the interest of time, Chair, can you tell this whip, this Jubilee whip, not to try to intimidate me? Because I told him the other day he has no capacity to whip me.
The Honorable Ishungwa, you can never be intimidated. You are in the House. You have full rights.
Chair, you know, it is only who can protect me, not the leader of minority.
Let us listen.
Who is telling me that I'm seated at the wrong place. There is no right place and wrong place. I can't even see it where you are. Chair, I was saying in the interest of time, Chair, because I see time, and the House having defeated 59A, and the others are consequential to 59A, then it will be a waste of the taxpayers' time to even purport to be moving the others. But let me express my disgust that the House has refused, Chair, because I only sought the House to have recommendations and reservations on those PPP agreements to be considered at the time of execution of those agreements. But posterity and the future will judge me right and judge you very harshly for voting for the executive. And I want to say, Chair, as I finish, that it has nothing to do with the three arms of government. It has everything to do with interdependence and oversight, our role as people who are charged with the responsibility of oversight. And with that, Honorable Chair, thank you for also protecting me from many of these people who are heckling with no substance.
The Honorable Odhiambo. The Honorable Ishungwa, you need to withdraw. Sorry?
Yes, Chair.
You need to withdraw number 65.
65, yes, I indicated, Chair, that is 65A that I beg to withdraw.
Very well. That is well done. So, honorable members, that new
schedules. First schedule.
I propose the question that the first schedule be the first schedule of the bill. And now put the question that the first schedule be the first schedule of the bill. Will as members of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as members of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Second schedule.
I propose the question that the second schedule be the second schedule of the bill. Chair?
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Honorable Chair, I beg to move that the second schedule be amended as per the order paper. And Honorable Chair,
Order, members.
Honorable Chair, the second amendments to the second schedule essentially is to carry what we had agreed earlier, that every public-private partnership arrangement is capped to 30 years on the upper side. So correct. We are just adding 30 years. Wherever time was not specified, we are adding 30 years. I beg to move, Honorable Chair.
I propose the question that the second schedule be amended as proposed by the Chair. I now put the question that the second schedule be amended as proposed by the Chair. Will as members of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as members of a contrary opinion say nay? Aye. The ayes have it. I now put the question that the second schedule as amended be part of the bill. Will as members of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as members of a contrary opinion say nay? Aye. The ayes have it. The Honorable Ishungwa, we need order. Order, please. And the mask, the Honorable Ishungwa. Honorable members, let me just say this. The Honorable Ishungwa, I have noticed that you have very little regard for this House. It is not the Speaker or the Chair in this House that you are respecting. The Honorable Ishungwa, I'm speaking to you. You have to respect this House. There are some things that are sacred. This House belongs to Kenyans. It does not belong to Omulele or to any of the speakers. So when you speak in this House and the way you behave in this House is an exact way that you want to behave to the people of Kenya. So let us be respectful in the way we conduct ourselves in the House.
Third schedule.
I propose the question that the third schedule be the third schedule of the bill. I now put the question that the third schedule be the third schedule of the bill. Will as members of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as members of a contrary opinion say nay? Aye. The ayes have it.
Clause 2.
I propose the question that the clause 2 be part of the bill. Will as members of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as members of a contrary opinion say nay? Aye. The ayes have it. Honorable members, we've completed that job. I'll now call upon the mover.
Honorable Chairperson, I beg to move that the committee do report to the House its consideration of the Public-Private Partnership Bill, National Assembly Bill number 6 of 2021, and its approval thereof with amendments.
I put the question, which is that the committee do report to the House its consideration of the Public-Private Partnership Bill, National Assembly Bill number 6 of 2021, and its approval thereof with amendments. Will as members of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as members of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Chairperson? Leader of minority, you'll do this for us.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I beg to report that the Committee of the Whole House has actually considered the Public-Private Partnership Bill, National Assembly Bill number 6 of 2021, and approved the same with amendments.
Mover?
Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that the House do agree with the committee in the said report. I also request Honorable Wangwe to second the motion for agreement with the report of the committee of the whole House.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I do second.
I propose the question, which is that the House do agree with the committee in the said report.
Put the question.
I put the question, which is that the House do agree with the committee in the said report. Will as many as that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as the contrary opinion say nay? Aye. The ayes have it. Mover?
Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that the Public-Private Partnership Bill, National Assembly Bill number 6 of 2021, be now read a third time. Honorable Speaker, I also want to take this opportunity to thank the members for their contribution and the vibrant debate that we've had over this bill, and I know Kenyans will be better off because of the actions of this House. I also want to request the chairman of the Finance Committee, the Honorable Wanga, to second.
The Honorable Wanga, Chair.
I remove my card. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I beg to second. Thank you.
Honorable members, I propose the question, which is that the Public-Private Partnership Bill, National Assembly Bill number 6 of 2021, be now read a third time. Is it the mood of the House that I put the question? Honorable members, I have confirmed that we have the requisite Public-Private Partnership Bill, National Assembly Bill number 6 of 2021 be now read a third time. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Very well. Honorable members? Honorable members, I want to thank you for the great effort that we have made this afternoon to consider this bill. And now the time being 6:30 p.m., this House stands adjourned until Wednesday, 30th June 2021 at 7 p.m.